Kurt McFall was born on December 9th, 1966, in San Diego, California. Growing up in a suburban environment, he was known to be a bright and popular student at Clayton Valley High School. Friends described him as confident, energetic, and caring. He participated in extracurricular activities such as the school newspaper and yearbook clubs, and was passionate about subjects like math and science. Aside from academics, Kurt loved the outdoors and was an avid participant in recreational activities, including swimming and cliff climbing. His early interest in Dungeons and Dragons eventually led him to join the Society for Creative Anachronism, a group dedicated to reviving medieval customs. On Saturday, September 8, 1984, Kurt left his home in Concord, California, and drove across the Bay Bridge into San Francisco. He planned to spend the night with a friend and return home on Sunday evening. However, what transpired that night remains uncertain. According to accounts from those close to him, Kurt had grown increasingly involved in a world far removed from his upbringing. In addition to his participation in the SCA, he had become interested in the occult and had joined a group focused on pagan religion. A high school friend later revealed that Kurt had mentioned his involvement in a satanic cult that dabbled in black magic. The friend explained that Kurt felt trapped by the group and feared for his life if he tried to leave. 2 days after his disappearance, on Monday, September 10th, 1984, two birdwatchers exploring the rugged cliffs at Land's End in San Francisco Bay made a grim discovery. They found the bruised and half-naked body of Kurt McFall on a remote beach below the cliffs. His body was missing a shirt, shoes, and socks, and it displayed multiple traumatic injuries, along with severe blood loss. The physical condition of his body was puzzling. Despite the injuries, there were only minor abrasions noted on parts of his body, and there was no sign of substances in his system. Notably, empty beer bottles were scattered around his abandoned car. This car was found on a golf course overlooking the ocean, and investigators noted several other unusual details at the scene. His driver's license was discovered on the floor, and his car keys were left on the seat. Notably, the prized suit of armor he had purchased for his SCA activities was missing from the trunk. The San Francisco coroner determined that Kurt died from multiple traumatic injuries and severe blood loss. While the report suggested that his injuries were consistent with a fall from the cliff, it also noted that the precise cause of those injuries could not be conclusively established. Initially, investigators believed that the death was caused by a probable accidental fall from climbing the cliffs. However, the coroner himself later remarked that an intentional act was a plausible cause, even though there was insufficient evidence to file criminal charges. As a result, the death was officially classified as unknown and left the case unresolved. One of the most controversial aspects of the case involves Gabriel Carrillo, who used the Welsh name Caradoc in his role as a leader within a neo-pagan group. Carrillo was known to have befriended Kurt and allowed him to spend nights at his apartment. On the night of his death, Carrillo recounted that Kurt had gone swimming at Ocean Beach and later knocked on his door around 3 a.m., stating that he was returning to the beach. Carrillo suggested that Kurt may have taken too many risks that night and possibly slipped or was caught by an undertow. While Carrillo maintained that Kurt's death was an accident, Kurt's father and some of his friends remained suspicious of his account. Over the years, several theories have been put forward to explain Kurt McFall's mysterious death. The first theory is the simplest, that he sustained injuries as the result of an accidental fall. Given the treacherous nature of the cliffs at Land's End, it's entirely plausible that Kurt may have lost his footing while climbing or while trying to get into the water. Supporters of this theory point to the lack of trauma on his body supportive of a struggle. Another theory is that Kurt was pushed off the cliff, suggesting foul play. This perspective is largely influenced by the observations of his father, Tom McFall, who firmly believes that his son didn't die by accident. Tom argued that Kurt would have been more adept at handling the cliff terrain. However, what I think might be missing from this perspective is the fact that one should absolutely not be climbing cliffs at night, let alone on dark and stormy nights. Further, he found that the peculiar staging at the scene, such as the beer bottles around the car and the missing suit of armor, indicates deliberate tampering. And quick note, as I was editing the video for this, I realized I left out a key fact about the beer bottles. Kurt's friends and family confirmed that he wasn't a drinker. Now, I don't put a lot of weight in his dad saying that, but the fact that all his friends agreed as well is definitely important. A third explanation claims that the crime scene was altered after Kurt's death. According to discussions on various forums, some believe that local vagrants or opportunistic individuals might have come upon Kurt's abandoned car and tampered with the scene. They suggest that the beer bottles and other items may have been left by these individuals, rather than being part of a larger occult conspiracy. This theory attempts to reconcile the accidental fall scenario with the oddities found at the car, arguing that the scene might have been unintentionally changed by unrelated parties. Kurt's case captured public attention largely because it emerged during the height of the satanic panic of the 1980s. It was often presented in a sensationalist way, attempting to tie his death into broader popular narratives that were being pushed in the media at the time. In my opinion, the most likely explanation for Kurt McFall's tragic death is that it was simply an accident. The available evidence, including his autopsy showing no signs of substances, suggests that a fall from the precarious cliffs of Land's End was a misfortune rather than a deliberate act. While occult theories are tempting, the simplest explanation often proves true, and in this case, an accidental fall appears to be the most plausible scenario. Also, I note that Gabriel Carrillo was portrayed as a Satanist at the time, but having looked into it further, he was a Wiccan with an interest in ancient Celtic traditions. I found a whole bunch of unverified accounts online from people who claim to have known him as Caradoc. Every account I've read says that he was interested in white magic and doing good and positive things in the world. It sounds much less sinister when presented that way in my view, and I think media sensationalism and the satanic panic overlay had a lot to do with this mystery. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy here with a reminder to hit that subscribe button and share this video with 2 people you know. Sharing my content is the best way you can help my channel, and it doesn't cost you a thing. Jerry and Rita Alter appeared to be a completely ordinary American couple who turned out to potentially have a very unusual side hustle. Jerry was a retired public school music teacher, and Rita was a speech pathologist. They had 2 kids who had already entered adulthood. All this is to say they were very much your normal middle-class American family, at least from the perspective of outsiders. In 1977, they left the hustle of New York for a quiet life in Cliff, New Mexico, where they built a ranch-style home on 20 acres of land. Rita found work as a speech therapist in the local public schools, while Jerry, a former band teacher and professional musician, settled into retirement. They were known by neighbors and colleagues as polite, educated, and unremarkable in their habits. Friends even described them as, quote, not exactly thrill seekers, underscoring how normal they seemed. Despite their modest income, the Alters managed to travel extensively. They vacationed during school breaks and ultimately visited more than 140 countries, documenting their journeys in photographs and even authoring a book about their travels. By the time of their deaths, Jerry in 2012 and Rita in 2017, the couple had amassed over $1 million in savings. But let's just say their net worth may have been slightly higher than that, to say the least. Nothing in their background hinted at criminal behavior. However, this unassuming pair would posthumously become central figures in one of the art world's most astonishing mysteries. On the morning of November 29th, 1985, the day after Thanksgiving, a daring art heist unfolded at the University of Arizona Museum of Art in Tucson. Shortly after the museum opened around 9 a.m., a man and a woman entered the building. The woman engaged a security guard in conversation on the ground floor, while the man slipped upstairs to the gallery. Within minutes, the man carefully sliced a painting out of its frame, rolled it up, and concealed it under a garment. In just 15 minutes from their arrival, the pair walked out of the museum with their stolen prize. The artwork they stole was Willem de Kooning's Woman Ochre, a valuable abstract expressionist painting. A witness later recalled seeing the thieves speed away in a red car, but at the time investigators found few other leads. No fingerprints, and there was no security camera footage in the museum. Also, as a somewhat humorous aside, the museum decided to use their insurance payout to invest in surveillance cameras. There's a saying out there about horses and barn doors that I think applies to this situation. Composite sketches based on eyewitness descriptions showed a middle-aged man with curly hair, glasses, and a thick mustache, and a woman wearing a scarf and large granny glasses. Despite these clues, the case went cold and the FBI added Woman Ochre to its art crime list. But years passed without a break in the mystery. And this wasn't some run-of-the-mill museum tier painting. This one was estimated to be worth up to $150 million in today's money. For over 3 decades, the fate of the painting remained unknown, and the audacious thieves and the priceless canvas had simply vanished. The mystery of the missing de Kooning took a dramatic turn in August 2017. After Rita Alter's death that summer, the Alters estate was liquidated by their sons. An antique and furniture dealer in Silver City, New Mexico, purchased the entire household contents for about $2,000. While clearing out the Alters' remote cliff home, store co-owner David Van Auker noticed an unusual large painting hanging behind the master bedroom door. The artwork was positioned so that it would be hidden whenever the door was fully open, and a homemade doorstop prevented the door from swinging wide and striking the canvas. The painting was dirty, cracked, and covered in dust and cobwebs, suggesting it had hung in that concealed spot, undisturbed, for many years. Van Auker and his partners brought the painting back to their shop, where artists and customers immediately remarked that it looked like an authentic de Kooning. Suspicious that it could be the long-lost Woman Ochre, Van Auker quickly contacted the museum in Arizona. In a stunning revelation, art experts and museum officials confirmed that the canvas was indeed the original Woman Ochre, stolen on that November day in 1985. The rediscovered masterpiece was promptly turned over to authorities and eventually returned to public display at the University of Arizona Museum of Art. With the painting found in Jerry and Rita Alter's possession, attention turned to whether this quiet couple could have been the thieves. Investigators and journalists soon unearthed several compelling clues. One key piece of evidence was a photograph taken at a family Thanksgiving gathering in Tucson on November 28, 1985, the day before the heist. In the photo, Jerry and Rita Alter are seen smiling at the dinner table with relatives, placing them in the same city as the museum one day before the robbery. According to some, the old composite sketches of the suspects, when compared in hindsight, bore a notable resemblance to Jerry and Rita's faces. And yeah, this is one of those moments where you have to look at the screen and check these two out and compare them to the police sketch. Personally, I think Rita Alter looks exactly like the sketch of the woman involved in the crime, but the sketch of the man doesn't resemble Jerry at all. That said, I suppose Jerry may have been wearing a fake mustache, and perhaps even a wig, but the man in the sketch appears to have a dark tan. Given that the picture you're looking at is from a day prior, this lowers the likelihood that this was Jerry. Also, I note that commercial spray tanning wasn't available at the time. Other coincidences also raised eyebrows. According to the altar's nephew, Ron Roseman, the couple had a habit of buying red cars. In fact, almost every car they owned was red. This detail bolstered the suspicion that the altars could have been the elusive pair who fled in a red car. Moreover, the way Woman Ochre was hidden in their home indicated a desire to keep it secret. Van Auker noted that when he removed the painting from behind the door, its outline was visible on the wall, meaning it had hung there for a very long time. He later noted that he believed that it had been there since it was stolen. Indeed, the couple never displayed the painting openly to guests. Only the altar's two pairs of eyes, exclusively, ever saw the treasure, as one of Jerry's own fictional stories would fittingly put it. One of the most startling clues came from Jerry Alter's own writing. In 2011, Jerry self-published a book of short stories titled The Cup and the Lip: Exotic Tales. In one story, Eye of the Jaguar, a grandmother and granddaughter team up to visit a local museum, distract a security guard, and steal the museum's prized jewel. Instead of selling this jewel, a 120-carat emerald, they hide it away behind a secret panel with the promise that only their eyes will ever see it. The thieves in the tale leave no evidence behind. The parallels to the Woman Ochre heist are unmistakable. The distraction of a guard, the prized object taken without a trace, and a secretive hiding spot only for the culprit's enjoyment. It appears Jerry may have memorialized the very crime he and his wife are suspected of committing. Despite these clues, there is no direct proof, such as fingerprints or eyewitness identification, conclusively tying the altars to the theft. By the time Woman Ochre was recovered, Jerry and Rita were deceased, and thus they were never interrogated or charged. Their two adult children haven't provided any information that sheds light on how their parents came to possess the painting, and said they didn't even know it was there until 2017. And this, of course, makes a lot of sense since they sold the painting for $2,000, along with their parents' other antiques. Officially, the case remains unsolved, but virtually all evidence points toward Jerry and Rita Alter as the likely culprits who pulled off the legendary heist. The major question hanging over this case is obvious. If they did it, why did they do it at all? One theory, favored by their friends and family, is that the altars might have acquired the painting through unconventional means, but not by theft. Ron Roseman, the altar's nephew, wondered if his aunt and uncle could have bought the de Kooning on the black market, or unknowingly from the real thieves. He imagined a scenario where the couple were approached at an art show or gallery by someone offering the painting, and the altars couldn't resist the bargain. And to be honest, this sounds to me like someone who can't accept the fact that his mild-mannered aunt and uncle may have pulled off a truly legendary art heist. Notably, they never attempted to sell the painting or profit from it, even though it was immensely valuable. This fact has led some experts to speculate that Jerry and Rita stole for the thrill or for the love of art, rather than for money. Adding to the intrigue, in 2023 and 2024, investigators began probing whether the altars were involved in other art thefts. In the same year that Woman Ochre was stolen, 2 other paintings went missing from the Harwood Museum of Art in Taos, New Mexico, during a March 1985 burglary. The FBI has since joined the investigation into these unsolved thefts, suspecting Jerry and Rita Alter may have been responsible for those as well. If true, it would mean the altars pulled off multiple art heists in 1985, perhaps using similar methods of distraction and stealth. This has led to conjecture that the couple's secret life as art thieves might have extended beyond the de Kooning case. However, no other stolen artworks have been definitively linked to them to date. And yeah, I can't be the only one who is a bit jealous of these two. They sound like they were a real ride or die couple, so to speak. The Kongamato, a legendary creature in African folklore, is a deep cut in the cryptozoological community. Often described as a large pterosaur-like creature, its name translates to breaker of boats in some local dialects, reflecting its reputation for being dangerous. The Kongomato story is rooted in the cultural traditions of Zambia, Angola, and the Congo, where it is believed to haunt the rivers and swamps of remote regions. The earliest reports of the Kongomato come from the oral histories of the Konde, Lozi, and Bemba peoples of southern Africa. They describe the creature as bird-like but reptilian, with leathery wings spanning 4 to 7 feet, a sharp beak filled with teeth, and a distinctly red or black coloration. Locals insist it lives in swampy areas, such as the Bangwulu swamps in Zambia. According to the lore, encounters with the Kongomato are dangerous. It's said to attack canoes and fishermen, leading to its reputation as a malevolent force. One of the most significant aspects of the Kongomato legend is its uncanny resemblance to a pterosaur, a type of flying reptile believed to have gone extinct 66 million years ago. This connection has made the creature a popular subject in cryptozoological circles. Unlike mythical creatures like dragons, which blend imagination and symbolism, the Kongomato's description aligns closely with known prehistoric animals. This is important since the ancient oral histories of a variety of African peoples speak about the creature. These histories precede the discovery of the pterosaurs, which led to an initial flurry of legitimate scientific interest. In 1923, British explorer Frank H. Melland brought the Kongomato to Western attention. Melland published a book which recounted stories he heard while traveling through Zambia. Local people showed him sketches of a winged creature they feared, insisting it was a real animal. Melland noted that when shown pictures of pterosaurs, the villagers identified them as the Kongomato. This sparked interest among Western scientists, many of whom were captivated by the idea of a living fossil in Africa. Further reports emerged in the mid-20th century. In the 1950s, an engineer claimed he encountered a flying creature with a wingspan of 4 feet in northern Zambia. According to his account, it had no feathers and didn't resemble a bat, but a juvenile pterosaur. Despite its compelling narrative, scientists remain extremely skeptical of the Kongomato's existence. Many suggest its descriptions could stem from misidentified known animals. Large birds like the marabou stork, with its impressive wingspan and prehistoric appearance, are often proposed as candidates. Similarly, fruit bats, such as the hammer-headed bat, which has a distinctive silhouette, could account for nighttime sightings. And yes, this is one of those times where you really need to look at the screen if you're just watching. I can see how a quick glance at a hammer-headed bat may make an observer think they've encountered some sort of prehistoric monstrous entity. Researchers also point out that eyewitness reports are notoriously unreliable, often shaped by cultural beliefs and expectations. In areas where the Kongomato legend is well known, people encountering an unfamiliar animal may interpret it through the lens of local folklore. That is to say, if you're in Zambia and you're familiar with the local folklore, and you see something you can't identify, you may think, oh yeah, that was definitely a Kongomato.